Welcome back to Headlines. Texas is not backing down. It is looking pretty intense. So I wanted to do a legal analysis of the Texas border situation with respect to the federal government, to just kind of walk through some of that, because it seemed like a really good subject matter to make jokes in. So I thought we could walk through that. I am a lawyer, which will help, but I'm a patent lawyer. So that takes off 95% of the benefit of being a lawyer. But anyway, so let's start by just getting our bearings on where we are. Because a lot of people have been saying Texas is defying the Supreme Court right now. And I actually don't think they are defying the Supreme Court right now. And I'm going to actually use as a source this article from National Review on this one. This is from Andrew McCarthy. So this is just kind of getting us where we are right now. So the Supreme Court vacated an order by the Fifth Circuit that, during the pendency of an ongoing lawsuit between the feds and the state, barred federal authorities from cutting concertina wire that Texas had installed in parts of its border. So the Supreme Court held for now that the lower courts may not prevent federal authorities from dismantling the barrier. Okay, so the order is very narrow and very specific. The lower courts can't prevent the feds from cutting the wire. Didn't actually say anything about Texas. So I think right now, that's the way I would read that, is if Texas is putting up more wire. It's like, hey, the only part of the order was lower courts can't stop the feds from cutting the wire. I would think that's kind of a very narrow order. Because I know, anyway, that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. I could be wrong, but those are my thoughts on that. Now, in this area, the Supremacy Clause always comes up, and people are talking about the Supremacy Clause right now. So I thought we could just cover that quickly in case you've heard people throwing that around at work, water cooler, whatever. So this is from The Hill. The U.S. Constitution has a Supremacy Clause, which provides that federal law is a supreme law of the land, notwithstanding any state law to the contrary. This is the basis for the doctrine of federal preemption. So what does that mean? That means if some state were to try to enact laws that dealt with immigration, and those laws seem to be in conflict with federal laws, the federal laws are going to preempt any state laws. We actually have an example of that, and this is a case from Arizona versus the United States, which had to do with illegal immigration. So this is a case where I'm not going to give you the 35-minute rundown. So this is a really quick rundown. But Arizona tried to enact some laws to deal with illegal immigration, and the federal government sued them, trying to stop those laws from being enacted. And basically, the holding was, we'll take this from The Hill. So from The Hill, they had kind of went over the holding here. In Arizona versus United States, the Supreme Court held that the removal process has been entrusted to the discretion of the federal government because decisions on removability touch on foreign relations and must be made with one voice. So in this Arizona versus United States case, some of the laws were preempted because they were seen to be in conflict with federal law. Okay, now I think that's why Governor Abbott of Texas is now relying on the Constitution itself for why Texas can do what they're doing. Because I think this federal preemption is going to be a real problem if states try to enact laws that are basically going to be in conflict with federal law that has to do with immigration. I think they're going to be preempted under that Supremacy Clause. So I think that's why he's falling back to the Constitution. And now this is a letter that Greg Abbott sent out, and I just wanted to go over part of this with you to kind of see his framework for how he's justifying what Texas is doing here. So the federal government has broken the compact between the United States and the states. The executive branch of the United States has a constitutional duty to enforce federal laws protecting states, including immigration laws on the books right now. President Biden has refused to enforce those laws and has even violated them. All right. And in my humble opinion, I think that is true. Because Biden is, come on. Anyway, And then the later part of this letter, so I skipped some stuff in the middle here, but the failure of the Biden administration to fulfill the duties imposed by Article 4, Section 4 has triggered Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3, which reserves to the states the right of self-defense. For these reasons, I have already declared an invasion under Article 1, Section 10, Clause 3 to invoke Texas's constitutional authority to defend and protect itself. That authority is the supreme law of the land and supersedes any federal statute to the contrary. Are you still with me, or did you stop watching? Okay, if you if you're still here, great. Governor Abbott's letter actually referenced part of an opinion from Justice Scalia in that Arizona versus United States case. It says here that Justice Scalia entered a dissenting opinion in Arizona versus United States in which he asserts that the majority's decision deprives states of the power to exclude people from its sovereign territory who have no right to be there, a defining characteristic of sovereignty. Neither the Constitution itself nor any law passed by Congress supports this result. So this language from Justice Scalia is really important to what Governor Abbott is saying, because this is from Justice Scalia, and he's basically supporting this kind of idea that Texas has a right to want to defend its sovereignty and borders. So Governor Abbott's letter said that President Biden has a duty to fulfill his duty under Article 4, Section 4, which says, the United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a Republican form of government and shall protect each of them against invasion. And Governor Abbott is basically saying that all of these illegal immigrants coming across the border, which what are we up to right now? 6 million, something in the last few years? It's insane that this is an invasion. And because the federal government is not doing that, Governor Abbott is saying they have this right of self-defense, which is under Article 1, Section 10. No state shall, without the consent of Congress, lay any duty of tonnage, keep troops or ships of war in time of peace, enter into any agreement or compact with another state or with a foreign power, or engage in war, unless actually invaded or in such imminent danger as will not admit of delay. So what Governor Abbott is saying is that this section gives him the right of self-defense, meaning he has the right to protect the sovereignty of Texas and to protect its borders, because President Biden is failing to do that, and he's obligated to do that under Article 4, Section 4. I didn't remember. I had to look it up. Anyway, so that's the constitutional framework for how Governor Abbott is approaching this problem that he's having with the border. So the issue is going to be this keyword of invasion, because invasion is up here in Article 4, Section 4, and then that's the same key down here with invaded, which is triggering this self-defense to defend the sovereignty of Texas and defend its borders. So the Biden administration and people on the left are going to say that word invasion, what that means is you have to have, a foreign country or power invading to take us over with some kind of armed forces, and it's an attack and violent, and they're going to try to make it sound like there's no way you can call illegal immigration an invasion, right? And conservatives, and the people who are correct will argue that it is an invasion. It's also very dangerous. It's causing danger to the people of Texas. You've got countless documented incidents of that, and we're now into the millions. This is an invasion, so that's going to be kind of the key point that they're going to be arguing. I think one of the ways you could solve this illegal immigration problem is if you could just have all of the people who were coming in through illegal immigration, if they were all Republican, the Biden administration would stop all immigration overnight. Because right now, they're just seeing these people as voters, and that they're going to be able to come and vote. And even if they can't vote yet, but they're working on it, that boosts up to help them keep their numbers for the Electoral College, right? Yeah, there's a lot of reasons why President Biden and his team are letting this happen, which is terrible. So you're probably wondering what I think is going to happen, or maybe you don't care, but I'm going to tell you anyway. I think the federal government has so much power and control that, and they've just, you know, over the years, they get bigger and bigger and more powerful, that I think Texas is going to have an uphill battle just because it's the Texas versus the federal government. But I feel like they definitely have a right to protect their borders and their sovereignty. Like, this is a real issue that they have an interest in, and it can't just be ignored. But it's definitely going to be, I think, an uphill battle for them. Well, like this, you know, the fact that this order that we just got down from the Supreme Court, I think that's an example where I felt like, well, okay, the Fifth Circuit, this is a temporary order. They're going to be, I think they're having a hearing in another few weeks. Why did the Supreme Court just leave it and wait until they had these hearings and went through more of an adjudication before they did anything? But they went out of their way to basically say, no, you can't stop the feds from cutting the wire. And I think that's kind of a hint that this is going to be an uphill battle. We had Roberts and Barrett both siding with the libs on the Supreme Court to do that. I thought that would have been an easy one, and just like, don't say anything. Just deny the application for review and just let them go farther before you look at this. But the fact that they stepped in, that stunk. Anyway, that's my official legal opinion. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope we didn't get too far down in the weeds on that. So anyway, you can let me know in the comments if it was like too much. Anyway, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.